Jesse Flair here from Flair Parkour and Team Tempest. Today we are doing a tutorial on the stride. How to stride. Got some great blocks behind me. This is what a stride looks like. Take a look. Now, a smaller stride may just appear to be like running, but as you get into bigger strides, there's a lot of technique that can help you go further, faster, and to be smoother and lighter on your feet. Let's take a look at a bigger one. So the cool part about strides is that you don't necessarily need to start on top of anything or jumping between any gaps. You can easily do this from one line to another. And you can actually create lines by using like painter's tape or something on the ground, or even just drawing a line in the dirt. What I used to do is actually draw one box and then find a good distance and draw another box, and I'd see if I could stride that gap. And that was a very easy way for me to gain confidence in how far that I'm capable of going. Keeping measurement by how many steps it takes, right, between each thing. Everyone's feet are different, so you know how many feet that you can go and how many you can do when it comes to a harder surface. So let's get started. So before we attempt to do any sort of gap, we need to understand how to run and jump. And as simple as that may be, I'm going to give you some details and pointers that might actually help increase your distance on your running stride. First thing I'd like to say is don't just run and jump at a random spot. I want you to always be conscious of where your foot is going to go and where your foot is going to land. This is going to help you later on when you actually start using different obstacles to step up onto and land onto. It'll build that confidence from the ground up. Okay, so as we run, make sure we're spotting a point. I'll use this line here, and I'm going to target this, leading with that foot just a little bit and lifting with my leg. So my knee and my shin are going to be my driving force to help lift me up. My speed in is going to help me cover this gap, okay? So how much speed is going to depend on how far I can go. But that same speed isn't necessarily going to help me lift up if I don't create any momentum to pull myself up. And to get that momentum, we're going to use our knee and shin and lift all the way up and drive through. That driving foot will be the one that we land on, with our back leg engaging back behind us so that we can continue the stride. Super important detail. When you're doing strides, and this is the one thing that'll help you continue to move past the next obstacle, is where you land, where your chest is, the position of your chest, whether it's down, whether it's up. The goal is to keep your chest up. Have your chest land directly above your foot or slightly in front of it. The reason being is we want to continue our momentum forward. If our chest is behind our foot, even the slightest bit, that is actually going to kill our momentum. So when we're doing this, it's going to stop us just a little bit, and we're going to have to use some of our energy to get back in front of it to jump again. So when we do it, make sure that your chest is again straight up above your foot or slightly in front, so your momentum can go right past that foot and you can continue into your next stride. So if you're attempting to stride any sort of gap, make sure that you're starting your stride at the end of whatever block you're going to leave from. In some cases, if the block is smaller, you might want to start a little earlier depending on how high you need to stride. So the difference would be, if I'm trying to cover a distance and it's not a level up, I would want to start my stride closer to the end of the block, making this gap smaller, obviously. But the change will be if I need to actually lift myself up. And the reason why I would leave a little earlier is, if this block is even higher, I don't want to try to jump up and land down onto the object. I want to use the step to lift myself up, okay? So now when leaving a block, you don't want to necessarily go right to the ball of your foot. Some people might have different techniques, but the way I really like to do it is starting not completely on my heel, but a little bit more in the middle of my foot and rolling through to push through. And it gets me grip. I wait until my chest starts to lead in front of my foot, then my back leg comes through and lifts me through off the toe. Boom. Let's take a little quick, detailed look at one of those. Now again, when using an obstacle to step up off of, this particular move can be used in many different ways. This same technique can be used to go big old stride to cat, big old stride precision. The only difference is going to change is your chest position in the air, your foot position in the air, but the way you leave the obstacle is very, very similar. So if I wanted to jump from this block over to that block, I'd need to come in with a good amount of speed, but I'd still have to focus on how I take my energy up. Now keep in mind, when stepping up onto a higher obstacle to help lift you through the air, through your stride, you need to be far enough away that your back foot can get a full extension through the leg. The reason why we want that extension to be so long is that it can then come through with a lot more power to help lift you and carry you through and higher onto the next obstacle. So, for example, I wouldn't want to step here and to step here, because now this is the only direction I have. But if I could start from back here and step into it, now this leg is fully chambered for me to jump up and through. Let's take a look at one long running stride from block to block. So, now that you know how to lift yourself up with your first stride, let's talk about some issues you may run into. That can be the fact that you might actually get too much height off your first stride, and then when coming down onto your next one, there's too much downforce and your legs can't actually control that momentum. So, if we're going for more than one stride in a row, we need to understand how high we actually need to go versus how low we can actually stay. So when we do this stride, make sure you take it from one block across, keeping your chest up slightly in front of that foot again, and then continue it through by having your back leg fully extended and reaching through to the next one. Again, not too high. Let's take a look at a combo. Now let's take a quick look at one that doesn't work because I took too much height off of the first one, and how hard it would be for me to continue on to the next one. There's just too much downforce and not enough force going across, pulling me forward. So keep that momentum moving the direction you want it to go in, not the direction you don't. There's just a couple things left to address. We talked about going too high and how you could stay lower to help pull your energy through. But what we didn't talk about is how staying too low can actually become dangerous for you, especially if your chest falls behind your foot. So if I'm jumping from this block to this one, and I'm staying way too low, all my energy on my foot can actually create a slip. And if we're talking about going from rail to rail, it's super important that we actually do create a little bit of height. And it doesn't need to be much, but just enough so that there's a little bit of downforce to give your foot some grip, and the grip that it needs to get your energy to push through to the next one. So don't stay too low, all right? Last maybe, but not least, is what we do with our arms. Now, naturally when we walk, our right leg will go forward, our left hand will counter. This is a very natural thing. If you just stop and watch anyone walk, it is the way that it happens. When we're running, the same thing should happen as well as when we're striding. Except, we can actually create a little bit more energy using, if I'm striding off my left foot, using my shoulder and my arm strength to help lift my body as I come through, okay? So, take a look at some of these other examples and watch what my feet do. Watch how high I go, or how low I stay, and what my arms do to counter and help lift my body even further and faster. Check it out. So that's about it. Hopefully you've learned a lot. Keep in mind, there's some really cool things going on. I actually just released my first official Flair Parkour t-shirt. You guys can check out at www.laflairparkour.com. I'm also selling the bandanas from that same site now. And Tempest Free Running just released a huge new line of clothing. The website, I believe, is going live today. There's some really cool stuff going on, so go check out the tempestfreerunning.com page, all right? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share, like, do whatever you want. Have fun, train safe. Peace out, everybody. Woo!